Wayne's not here.
Right, wait. Perhaps he has forgotten.
Are you good? Is our camera good to go? Okay, we're gonna get started with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have John on yet? Nope. Not yet. Okay, so we can wait to vote till he's ready, or should we just vote till it's on?
Might as well wait
Wait till he's ready.
until he dings in.
Okay. So we have John remote tonight, but doesn't look like he's joined up yet, so we will vote for him to attend remotely once he's ready. First up is our payroll and accounts payable. For this period, we had 12 hours of overtime in PD, 2 hours of overtime in fire, and none in highway. We had payroll payments in the amount of $31,769.44 and accounts payable in the amount of $18,673.63. We had an ACH payment to Swayze of $181,000. Did everybody sign the rec checks?
No.
You believe
Yeah, I think you're good on this.
Thank you. You signed it, right?
I think so, did I?
Thank you. Great,
All
thank you.
right, you got what you need?
Yes,
All right, thank you, have a nice night.
you too, thank you.
Next, we have the consent agenda, and I don't know, for those who signed it, there was a second place that needed to be signed as well. I don't know if everybody saw that.
I didn't.
You did or did not?
Did.
You did. The second tab on the back for the tax.
It's like the last
Warrant.
page.
I'll take a motion
I saw that one.
for the consent agenda.
Move.
Do I have a second on the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that's a pass. Now that John is here, I'll take a motion for him to attend remotely.
So moved.
Can I get a second for John to
Second.
attend remotely? I'll take, actually, we don't have to, he's not on yet, so we can just do roll call or a regular vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, John, you're good to go remote. The consent agenda for this week included the rec manifest, the treasurer's report, building permits, and the first issued tax warrant for the tax bills that are due on July 3rd. We will now open public comment, and as we've been doing in weeks prior, if folks wouldn't mind coming forward close to this microphone or having a seat in the last seat so that the recording can pick up your comments. What public comment do we have tonight? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment and move on. Discussion action items, I don't know, do we have Wayne? Not here yet? Okay, so we can do Chief Ventura, who's gonna give us an update on the road safety audit for 125 and South Road.
Thank you.
Good evening, folks,
Evening.
everybody out there. As you know, Route 125 and South Road has been a problem for many years now, but since I got here, we've had now 2 fatalities within that area, the last one being within about a half a mile of the intersection. Executive Council Janet Stevens has has helped out quite a bit, as well as you, the residents, by signing petitions, getting things organized and focused. We've had a few meetings with DOT. We had a informational meeting about a month and a half ago at the BRC that was very well attended. We had some major players in the state, including Commissioner Quinn, Assistant Commissioner Eddie Edwards, and Commissioner Cass from DOT. So it was very well attended and very well received. One of the residents astutely asked, well, how long is all this going to take? And they got the answer that I kind of knew from just dealing with DOT, is that, we could look at 2025. I think people were quite shocked. I think they were expecting a little bit more. And voiced their opinion of unhappiness. And Commissioner Quinn was not happy as well. And then unfortunately, a few weeks ago, we had another fatality. That obviously ramped things up. As you probably saw, I had some conversations with the press about it. I sent a very poignant email to Executive Counselor Stevens, who then called the governor, so forth and so on. I said to Counselor Stevens, and I think it was actually quoted in the paper, that I'm going to be the squeaky wheel. I'm going to be the annoying one to get this done. So in response to that, we have received, the other thing I did is I submitted an application with a deadline of January 31 for what they call a road safety audit. Before any major project can be undertaken on any state road like this, there has to be a safety audit conducted by DOT. So I'm going to read you the letter that I received from them, from Bill Lambert, who's the State Highway Safety Administrator. So, Dear Chief Ventura, I'm writing to notify you that your application for a road safety audit for the intersection of New Hampshire Route 125 and South Road has been selected for our 2023 RSA program. RSA is Road Safety Audit. According to our RSA practice, the audit will be conducted by an interdisciplinary team comprised of the DOT and our engineering consultant, the Rockingham Planning Commission, and the town. I will coordinate with you and the RPC to include the appropriate town representatives and local stakeholders on the RSA team. I anticipate that the RSA will be conducted as soon as DOT is able to retain a consultant for the work. Given the recent emphasis given to this location following the August 2022 motorcycle fatality, this will be the first RSA conducted in 2023, moving it ahead of several 2022 locations that were not even completed. And it goes on to say that he'll coordinate that with me. That's pretty significant, folks, that we got moved ahead of 2022 projects. So that's a very big step in the right direction. And again, continue to use your voice with state reps, executive council, and whoever will listen to you folks about the safety on 125. So thank you folks, and thank you board for your support on all of this. This does a lot for us.
And Chief, we had at the last meeting, I think it was like a day or two before we received this letter, we as a board had talked about communicating with the governor to sort of put the board's weight behind this request. When you and I talked offline about this, you had asked us to kind of hold on that because you felt that this is sort of the best possible outcome we could have had, and it was already in front of us. Do you continue to feel that way, or feel that there's some action that this board should take to help encourage this process to move forward?
I think we should continue to hold off on the letter to the governor. This does speak volumes to me, that we were put ahead of quite a few projects. However, this doesn't give them a stay for that long, right? Because every day that goes by that hasn't changed, we subject ourselves to the risk of yet another fatality or serious accident. So, but for the short time being, I'm satisfied with the progress. But I'm going to check in with them at the end of this month and find out where they are with retaining a consultant and go from there. But knowing the fact that you folks support that and you would write a letter on behalf of the town, that's great for us. So, thank you, I appreciate it.
And John, I know that that had been your motion initially. Are you comfortable with us holding off at the chief's request at this point?
Yeah, that's no problem, as long as we, Chief, I think what's important, from my perspective is the board, support your efforts and support the safety of the town, and so as soon as you believe it would be appropriate for us to do something else to further those goals, please just let us know.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thanks, folks.
While you're in the chair, Chief, do you
Oh,
want
yeah.
to do the highway
Sorry.
safety?
Good point.
Why you're in the hot
You're
seat?
here.
What do you,
Say?
yes, please.
Lieutenant Jody applied for a grant for a LiDAR radar unit for the new cruiser that has already approved to be funded through the special detail fund. So the amount of the grant is $2,137.50. The match is $712.50, but that was already approved to be paid for out of the detail fund. So this will just offset that cost. So I just need 2 board members to sign the grant amendment notice, and then 3 of you to sign the scope of work. And then I will need to post a public hearing because this grant award increases the award amount from $8,200 to $10,337.50. So because it's over the $10,000 threshold, we'll have to post a public hearing to accept this money further.
So when we approved the money out of the detail fund, we were anticipating already getting 8,200.
No, you
From
were
this grant
anticipating
or no?
spending this amount for the radar unit, and now
Okay.
you won't have to spend it, you'll only spend this amount.
What was the 8,200 grant that was already in there?
That's the highway safety units, that's the 125, the speed enforcement grants that they're doing, the safety.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we receive a certain amount of money overall.
Oh, okay, so
That-
this grant is a separate, it's for a totally separate thing, it's
Yes.
just lumped into that amount?
Yes.
I got
So
you.
the other is,
That's what I
the
thought.
8,200 is for the overtime for the guys to do the enforcement grants.
Perfect, I got you. So we sign here?
Yep, I need one of you to sign here, and then 3 of you to initial on that page.
Do we need a second subrecipient too on here?
Yes.
Yeah, so 2 on this one?
And then the last.
Oh wait, I'm signing the wrong one. No, this
Nope,
is the right
fine.
one.
Just the last page needs 3 initials.
This is the grant you were telling me about that we like applied for and got like 2 days later?
Yeah.
That never happens.
Those are the best grants.
Like, what do you have up his sleeve? Like, I don't know how he did it.
That's why you made
Karen was
lieutenant.
shocked. She's like, didn't you just apply for this like 2 days ago? I think it's like, yeah.
So, question,
Yes.
yeah, so has there been, at least from what you could see, an increase in terms of enforcement, and, stopping people, writing more tickets?
Yeah, I mean, we had, at that meeting at the BRC, the commissioner committed some troopers to the area for a little bit, and we had that splash for a couple of weeks. You saw a bunch of troopers out there. And that was coordinated with us as well, but state police is down a significant amount of employees. They can't spend their entire time in Brentwood. Some of those troopers were on loan from North Country, actually. So they can't sustain that, and I never expected that. I was appreciative of what we got. We love it when troopers are in town, sheriffs, and and the sheriff's office has been great too with enforcement on 125. They know what we're facing, and our folks. I mean, we stopped I think 500 cars in a month, which is out of this world. And I don't know what the ratio of summons to warnings was, but that's a significant amount of cars that Brentwood PD alone stopped. And I know that state police probably stopped at least 100 on their own. So yeah, I mean, that's part of changing driving behavior. And then the other thing you folks probably saw is those signs, the lit signs. Those are great for a temporary thing. They woke everybody up for a little bit, but before you know it, people will be driving by it like it's a mailbox that you never saw before. But it's, again, it's what the state can do at the moment, and we're appreciative of that.
So what's the end game, to put up a working light? Or
That's my end game. Whether they approve that. The road safety audit will determine what we do. Like I've said all along, my golden goose is a traffic light, very similar to the light we have at North Road, with turn lanes and everything.
And I'd like to see reduced speed as well.
You'd have to.
Reduced speed limit.
You'd have to at least within the
If there's a light.
yeah, within the, I think it's, what is it, a third of a mile of each time, it has to come down to 45, it has to, so. Makes it easier to establish a change driving behavior when the speed limit's reduced. Speed limit's 55 right now, the average speed is 63 through there. It's tough for a cop to write a ticket for 8 over, it's just a fact of life,
Right.
you know what I mean? None of us have specific thresholds in which we decide to write a ticket. We take a lot of things into consideration, but 8 over usually doesn't get you a ticket unless you're in the school zone, right? But when you drop that down to 45, that now becomes 18 over, and you go, oh, we have a different game here, right? So that will be integral as part of changing driving behavior in that area too.
Thank you for all your
Thanks,
work
folks.
on this.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it very much. All right, I saw Wayne come in. Come on up. So we asked Wayne to be here tonight because Wayne had contacted me back in February. I just looked at the minutes. February 7th meeting, Bob Stevens from Conservation had come to us to talk about posting mud signs on our Class 6 roads. And that had made its way up to Wayne for actually making the signs. And Wayne had some concerns about some of the verbiage of the sign and that it might go against some New Hampshire RSAs. So we decided to have you come tonight so we could talk it over and clarify it before we moved ahead.
So I can save this whole conversation.
Yes, please.
Wayne gave his presentation to Conservation last week,
Oh, even better.
and Conservation voted to withdraw their request for signs.
Okay.
Well, that was easy, right?
Yeah,
They're probably still gonna give you money. That's good.
right. Wayne, good job.
Withdraw their.
So is my understanding correct that the signs were overly restrictive and therefore would have been in violation of the RSA?
No.
No? What, just, can I get a summary of that conversation that occurred at Concom?
So basically, the town cannot spend money on the road. Signage is a verbiage of spending money on the road. So the sign was just a warning. There was
Right.
no restrictions, there was no enforcement, there was no nothing. So it wasn't the action of the sign, it was just the fact that the town would be spending money on
A Class 6 road,
a class.
which is forbidden
Yes.
by RSA. Gotcha. Okay, so that's a simple issue. Because you had
So-
told me that this came up years ago and it got squashed, and presumably it was for the same realization.
Okay, I went to New England Barricade to check on the signs. Now, first of all, the selectmen has the power, they're the only ones that have the power, so, if they wanna put these signs up. I checked with New England Barricade on the signs. The state they have one sign, but New England Barricade said that they would make any sign that you guys would wanna put up there. And this says right here, it says, a good practice for municipalities to follow the posting of signs at the beginning of Class 6 roads, notifying the public that the road is unmaintained and traveled at the user's own risk. That's what they have as signs. Now they wanna put these mud signs up there to try to keep now, you gotta keep in mind that these roads are closed to gates and bars. There is no liability for the town at all on those roads. None. Whatever the way those roads are, people going, and you can't keep the public off. The public has a right, it's a highway. It still consists as a highway, so they
So the
have the right to
RSA
be in there.
Does allow for posting of just like notification,
Yep.
like this is a Class 6 road, FYI.
I haven't found anything that says you can't.
Would that still be considered spending money?
There's
on the
already
sign?
signs
Are
out
they
there.
already posted?
Yeah. No, I checked with Fremont, what they do with signs, they don't have any signs out. They don't have any signs, it's just
I know
considered
yours,
as
part of Old
a,
Gordon Road's a Class 6, right, or what, off of it? Is there a sign there?
There's a sign, but I don't think it applies to.
yeah, I asked the road agent over there, and he said they didn't want any signs on their roads. They don't have any signs on there.
Sounds like Concom was more comfortable just withdrawing their request completely and not putting any kind of signage up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we don't have any signs up on any of our roads. I've been here for 20 years. and
I think the intentionality makes perfect sense of those signs and why
Yeah.
Concom wanted them.
Oh,
and what-
yeah.
But if it's in violation of the RSA,
town.
then,
The town of Barrington and the town of New Durham uses those signs. They
That
put
just
them
say,
on
this is a
there.
Class 6 road.
And they have a lot of roads up there.
I think it's pretty obvious in Brentwood that those are Class 6 roads.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been confusion about that.
Is it something you're suggesting?
What's that?
Is it something you're suggesting?
What's that, to use those signs?
Yeah.
You can put them up and put those signs underneath. It's, you can let them know that the roads are not maintained. I mean, that's a big factor right there when you get somebody going in those roads. It's not maintained, so there's no money put into those roads. And you're only asking them to not use it during mud season. Now, just so you know, those conditions of those roads out there, on both of those roads up there, Rowell Road and Old Gordon Road, okay? They've been using those roads every year. And it's actually at the beginning of what Rowell Road is, on this end of it, there's two big water holes that you have to go through. Now, you can still drive a vehicle through them, and in summertime, they kind of dry up. They're not bad at all, and they're pretty hard pan under them, so a vehicle can get up. The rest of the roads, the other ends are flat, and there's nothing wrong with them. There is nothing wrong with them. We drive those vehicles, as long as we can get our vehicles up through them, we check them. We check them, the other day, they were full of water, and they only came up just a little ways on the tires. Actually, there was water in there when we did it, so I took the loader through there to make sure that it's big enough for there's nothing in the way of any of those roads to not get a vehicle through there,
Okay.
so there's no,
Sounds
not
good. Did
bad.
Concom have any opinion about generalized posting of them being Class 6 roads, or did that not come up?
No, there was a mention made that I believe Old Gordon Road has those Class 6 road signs up already.
Yeah, they're there.
So,
Does anyone on the board feel strongly about making sure we have just a general Class 6 posting on those roads? Or just kind of leaving it be how it is now?
I think we just leave it the way it is.
Any opinions?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, people are responsible for themselves, right? There you go.
John, any thoughts on that? No? Okay. All right. We had previously made a motion to approve posting of those signs, so I think it would probably make sense to have a motion to accept their retraction of that request, just
So
for the
moved.
records.
Second.
All in favor? I'm an aye. Angie? John?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Wayne.
Okay.
Anything else you have for us tonight?
What's that?
Anything else you have for us tonight?
Nope. All
Great,
set.
okay, thank you. Okay, in terms of regular business, there was a couple things that, that I pulled out of the mail that I wanted us to go over today. And also, Karen, I didn't know if you maybe had a follow-up on the Block 5 issue that we talked about last week.
The quote that was for just under $500 was for Block 5's labor to install a secondary WAN. It was not quoting on the speed, so we're gonna work with one of their engineers to look at Fidium and see if that would make sense cost-wise and make that our primary internet source, and then move Comcast to our secondary source.
Because they cannot offer us the higher speed that we're
Not
looking for?
consistent.
Oh, okay, okay. Do we need to bring that back to reapprove that? Because I think we had held it until we clarified that.
You had approved it based off of that speed, and if it was going to be a lower speed, then you didn't approve that money, so I think we're good to
So
move
we're
forward
good,
still.
you're
Yep.
happy, okay. In terms of the mail, there was a couple of things. One, I know I had seen this on the news, and it also came to us officially by mail about Consolidated Communications having sold all of their telephone poles to PSNH. Does that have any impact on us at all in Brentwood from like a tax perspective? Or
It will, so we'll just have to transfer all of those poles from, to the utility there.
Okay.
And then the pole licenses have been signed by Daphne and stored in the pole license book so that we can keep track of that
Okay.
transfer.
So whatever we needed to do for that is already in process?
It's in process, yep. And then Consolidated will have to update it's called the PA 81, which just is an inventory form of what they have in each town.
What they own
And
that's
they have
in
to file,
Brentwood?
yep, and they have to file that with us annually.
Okay, perfect. Any questions from the board about that? Okay. The other thing in the mail is, there was a contract or some document in there from Municipal One about the website. So I know we'd had multiple conversations back and forth, and I just wanted to clarify where we are at with that.
So they were agreeable to all of our terms and conditions. They had agreed to host, for the legal to be based off of New Hampshire law. And they made all of the changes that we had requested based off of Primex's feedback.
Perfect.
Nice.
So have we officially signed now?
We have, it took a few weeks longer, but they did maintain the price.
Perfect.
Great work, thank you.
Do we have any kind of a time frame from when we will move forward with them?
It was supposed to be 45 days from the date of execution.
Okay, so fairly quick.
Yep.
Okay, exciting. New website coming. Awesome. Okay. The last thing that was in the mail that I wanted to bring to the public's attention is we got a regional impact letter from the town of Kingston that at the location of 249 New Hampshire Route 125, which is just past the Magnuson Farm down towards Kingston, that there is a request to build a gas station convenience store there with 10 gas pumps, 2 diesel pumps, and some kind of convenience store. And because there is multiple potential regional impacts, the most specific of which was an aquifer that runs under that property that is shared by both East Kingston and Brentwood, that was considered to be a project that has regional impact. So their original ZBA hearing was continued to allow abutters to weigh in if they're interested. And that continued meeting will be on June 1st at 7 p.m. at the Kingston Town Hall. So if anyone is interested in attending that to learn about this potential project, we have the right to be there as a regional impact town. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or comments on that.
I think it's something we should look more into and get a better, sense of what it is that they're planning. And
Well, and Russ's point was if they're gonna put a big gas station right there, that may need a light.
I mean, I would
Right.
have to believe a light
I would assume so.
right across from that, I mean, I don't know exactly where the entrance is gonna be across from the 107 entrance, but where that, as a lot of people remember, that is where the jug handle used to be. There used to be a jug handle there.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit up, a little north of that, like right past where.
Well,
Magnuson
the lot,
is, the
yeah,
lot.
maybe that, but maybe you're right, maybe the entrance will be, maybe the actual business will be north of it, because the lot's pretty big.
It's just a wooded lot, it looks like when I just Googled it, so. So anybody who's interested, that's June 1st, 7 p.m., Kingston Town Hall. I think that was all I had for mail. Did anybody else have anything from the mail or follow-up items to bring up?
Some notes on the side.
Oh,
and I'm
yes.
sorry, so we're considered, we're considered in the butter for that, right?
Yes, so the actual letter that's in the mail, it talks about because it was less than 2/3 of a mile from Brentwood, and because of, it was like proximity, traffic impact, and aquifer, there were like a couple different aspects that were considered us to be a regional impact. And then East Kingston was also regional impact, but only because of the aquifer issue. So they considered us to have, there's multiple criteria for when it's a regional impact, and we met multiple of them in Brentwood.
Yeah, what day is the first?
June 1st,
Say-
Thursday.
I'll do my best to be there. I think it's probably
Yeah,
worth,
Thursday.
It's a regular planning board meeting night for us too.
Oh,
Unless you
that
wanna
might
go
be a
there.
planning board night.
Oh, you're
Sounds like-
going? Oh, well, there's my voice.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a planning board meeting night, so.
CC, the planning board.
They received their own notice, but we should talk to Glenn about that because
Maybe
he's
something Glenn wants to go
Kingston,
to.
he's
Make sure.
Kingston's planner as well.
Oh, is he?
Oh, so he probably knows.
Yeah.
Okay. Documents to sign, the select board handbook, I know that went out to the board members by email. Did you get any feedback or concerns about the changes?
No.
Did any board members have any feedback on some of those modifications in the select board handbook?
No.
Do you need a motion or?
Yes, and then you'll want to sign.
I move we approve the updated handbook.
Second.
We'll do a roll call, I'm an aye, Andy?
Aye.
John?
Abstain.
Okay, Russ?
Aye.
Paul?
I should say, I'm an I should say, in terms of feedback, that, yeah, I think, some people are, concerned about, the greater formality on the committees. That people, with a sense of volunteerism should be, not necessarily, given that kind of rigid structure per se. Having said that, I think it's worth trying this out and seeing how it goes. So, yes,
In terms of the application process that we suggested and everything? Okay.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't work, then we can always change it.
So for that reason, I'm an
Okay. And the only other thing we have on here is non-public.
So we're gonna have one person, and she's here.
Okay.
Okay.
Regular business, we'll go around for board members for committee updates and other members, other issues to bring before the board. And Andy, we can start with you.
I attended my first conservation meeting. Some of them sent their condolences, since that's usually the death assignment, and most select board members don't last after going to Concon. I'm like, well, I have 3 years, so at least you have me that long.
I think we welcome
Death assignment, wow.
But they are working on some properties. We can talk about it quickly in non-public, but they're diligently working on their conservation assignments.
Okay. And we had talked about potentially inviting the chair to come present to us about the status of that. Are they feeling like they are ready for that, not ready for that?
That didn't come up, so
Maybe we can reach out to them and just ask at what point they might want to come to present to us about the status that they're making on conserving properties.
Jim, would that be a non-public session, because until those,
I think if it's a status update, like we have X number of properties and we are doing, this is the status, I don't think they can reveal the property locations.
okay.
Right, correct. Anything else for you?
Nope.
Okay. John?
So we held the first business breakfast with Chris Pappas last week. That was a success, and then on Friday, I'm sorry for the background noise, best I can do for this meeting. The Friday and Saturday of last week, we held the community engagement workshop to look at what the different options and possibilities were for the rec facility. So I'll have a greater report on both for the select board at the next select board meeting. But for right now, just everything kind of was on the trajectory of what was anticipated, and very pleased with the results from both of them.
Great.
And then that's what I've got for. And the budget committee also met to just review several items, particularly the cuts that had to be made to the town meeting cut, and no big news to report on that front. They'll be meeting with department heads and stuff going forward for introductory purposes. So
Great.
that's where we're at.
Okay, thanks. Russ?
Last Monday, I attended the library trustees meeting. Lots of a healthy agenda, to say the least, for them. So I won't run down the laundry list, but suffice to say, we got very fortunate for those folks, the knowledgeable group and dedicated group, and I know they're as far as the amphitheater, they're reassessing, and they're raising funds and having further conversations about that. So all good there. The communications committee, I unfortunately couldn't make it, but the report out of there is that this was last Thursday. They are working obviously on the website. Everything's moving forward. They're looking into AV improvement, so they can make recommendations. And they're writing out some, I think some guidelines on social media and the town that I'm sure will be run by Karen and Daphne, and just, I think, trying to be helpful on that front. And then also, they are working on a voter's guide. So that's all stuff that we'll see down the road. On the energy side, that meeting hasn't happened this month yet, but just wondered if you had already thought about whether you wanted to bring Rick LeBrecq, the chair, in at some point.
Yeah, I think we talked about at our last meeting that we would like to, but I'll certainly defer to him, like, when he feels is the right time.
Okay, so maybe it was on me to ask him, so I'll see him at the.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
urgent. I think
Yeah.
just, you know, we
Yeah,
know
right.
that there's been a tons of changes. There's been a lot in the news about it.
Right.
And I know they've been meeting with different players, and so if we're starting to kind of plan for potentially having an energy plan go before the voters in March, we now have this time to kind of get a status update from them about how things are going.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Oh, and then other business, non-committee stuff real quick. Attended the Stephen Arkell Memorial, and just wanted to give a shout out to Joyce Kegel. And is it Officer Turner?
Yes, Josh Turner.
Josh Turner, and the work they did. It was really beautiful, well done, and Chief, not to embarrass you, but your remarks are really, really well received, and Pastor Tara Olson spoke as well. I guess I just wanted to give a shout out to Swayze received recognition, right? Maybe someone else can speak to it more specifically, but
Sure.
we have our Crown Jewel Elementary School in town, which was great. The last thing I have is something that I'm formulating, and I haven't, just in my head, I haven't done anything about it, but I wanted to just throw it out there, which is, ever since town meeting, when the SB2 issue was up, and of course it was never actually debated, which I think was unfortunate. Everybody went in with their own opinions, and to have it not be discussed based on a technicality was just an unfortunate thing, because I think it would have been very helpful for people to hear both sides of that. So what I'm thinking is, maybe in the fall, trying to put together a panel where, obviously our town moderator, Dick Chamberlain, and then get some folks from other towns that have switched, and try and get some different opinions and actually have that discussion, because I know that for everyone who attended our town meeting this year with 7.5 hours and all that, there's all kinds of opinions right now. And in a lot of cases, people saying they went in against SB2, came out for it, but my concern is that people start to look at one or the other as like a magical cure. I really do think we have to talk it out and have that discussion. So I throw that out there. We don't have to belabor it now, but maybe I'll bring it up again if we want to put it on the agenda, just talk about how we might do it, or if you want me to do it offline and work with some other groups.
I think that's an interesting idea. I mean, I think if it comes up to be on the warrant again next year, we have to have a public hearing like we did last time, but last time we just did it as part of a select board meeting. But that was sort of just a presentation, and there was some discussion, but it sounds like you're talking about sort of a more stakeholders and more people who could maybe educate us on their experience.
Yeah, because
I think
the
it'd be helpful.
conversations I have with people, it's like that, one group over here, one group way
Sure.
over here. But like I said, I think there is some perception that change is good for change's sake. It may be. We're all sort of rethinking that now. I think, and the other thing I was gonna say was there was an article that came out, I think it was a union leader, after town meeting, and it was talking about how wonderful town meetings are, what a wonderful tradition in New Hampshire. And there was nothing mentioned of ours, of course, and how long it was. It was like, you know, one of them was like 20
Was
minutes.
17 minutes or something, I read that article, yeah.
So anyway, it just, I think it would be an interesting discussion. So
Okay,
Thank you.
maybe we can bring that up again as we go
Yeah.
forward. Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all been covered at this point. Our planning board didn't meet the last session. And, we spoke about the Plan New Hampshire and the Markel and the business breakfast, and those are all positive things in my opinion.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Paul. I'm sorry. I forgot to give kudos to that whole thing. I couldn't make Saturday because I was down in Massachusetts for a basketball tournament for my son. Otherwise, I would have been there for the grand reveal. But I was there Friday for the just round table or whatever. And I just thought John, Doug, everybody involved with that event. Thursday? Oh, you're talking to him, okay.
I'm sorry.
I was intercepting that. So anyway, I just wanted to say kudos because it was really well run, very interesting discussions.
I agree, I went to the Friday night event and I thought it was really interesting, and actually talking to some of the DOT people was really interesting, because they have like a lot of ideas, and they seem to have a lot of energy, so
Yeah.
it was interesting to talk to some of them as well. I'm curious to see the final report.
Yeah, great work.
In terms of school, the school has not met again since our last meeting, but to Russ's point, I'm sure most people know by this point that Swayze was picked as the best elementary school in New Hampshire for the Eddies Award, which was amazing. The school had known that that was a potential and that they were a finalist because they had to do like a school presentation and walkthroughs and interviews and everything, and then they were very, very excited to get chosen. So that's a huge bragging right for our town, and I'm so happy for Swayze and Ron Q and everyone who worked so hard on that in the school board as well. So
We're
that's
lucky.
good. Anytime we can brag, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right, and that was all I had for school.
Jen, can I just add that there's a Brentwood resident who also was recognized in that same.
Yes, Peg
So
Dawson.
Peg Dawson, who is, she got the Lifetime Achievement for School Psychology.
Yes.
So yay Brentwood.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
she's been to our library for
Yeah,
presentation.
she's great.
Yeah, she did a really good presentation on, I think, ADHD. Yeah, wonderful. All right. Any other matters before the board before we go to non-public? Okay. We are going to non-public for reputation. Can I get a motion?
Moved. Second.
Andy?
Aye.
John? Russ?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye, so we're going to non-public.
Oh, I'm sorry. That should just.
It's gonna be around.
Really good.